welcome to Practice Masterclass presented by Magentis. We hope you've enjoyed the Practice Masterclasses so far and have been able to take away some helpful insights and resources. Following on from our episode on human resources, this episode is all about workplace wellbeing. Mental health and employee wellbeing is something that businesses should always have front of mind. Today, Margaret Aboody, Director of Luemo, is joining us to walk you through how to create a healthy work culture with meaning. Margaret is an expert in developing workplace leaders and helping business managers create engaged and supporting teams. Over to you, Margaret.
Hello and welcome. In our dynamic practice environment, resilience, teamwork and energy are essential. My name's Margaret Aboody, and today I want to talk about why wellbeing is good for business and how it can help you run a more vibrant and productive practice. I also want to share with you some really good tips that will help you get started in building your own wellbeing culture and also alert you to a few common mishaps to avoid while along the way. Let's get started. Today, businesses have access to a whole range of sophisticated expertise, ideas, marketing, technology, financial management, and so on. If everyone has access to these things, why are some businesses more successful compared to others? It's a question that troubles many small businesses, especially when they're comparing themselves to other businesses that have similar services, similar expertise, and similar technology. There is current and growing evidence that workplace wellbeing plays a big part in the success of organisations. It can be a key differentiator and a competitive edge. The key reason why employee wellbeing is so important to business is because it is strongly linked to increased productivity in a number of ways. Let me give you some examples. Good physical and mental well-being support higher energy and better cognitive abilities, which enable better focus, better creativity, and problem solving. Employees with good well-being are more resilient, better equipped to deal with stress, and more adaptable to change. In a well environment, there's reduced absenteeism and presenteeism. Healthy employees take fewer sick days, and healthy employees are more engaged and present when at work. Employees who feel their well-being is cared for by their employer are more loyal and less likely to leave their employer compared to those who feel that there is no genuine care, resulting in better employee retention. Well workplaces lead to more positive workplace cultures, which are strongly linked to higher productivity. They tend to have better team collaboration, and employees have more positive interactions with their co-workers. And quite simply, well workplaces tend to be happy workplaces. Let's think for a moment about the opposite types of workplaces. Have you ever witnessed or experienced a working environment where there was low energy, absenteeism, lack of focus, poor communication, poor teamwork, conflict, and high turnover? How do you think productivity was affected? And how happy were employees about coming to work in that kind of environment each day? If you would prefer to have a well workplace and reap the productivity rewards, and who wouldn't, I have a few tips for you today. But first, I have a little cautionary tale that I want to share with you. Imagine this. It's your birthday, and I present you with a large tray, and in the middle is a beautiful birthday cake completely covered in gourmet icing, decorated beautifully with sprinkles, sparklers and candles. Everyone gathers around and sings happy birthday, and you blow out the candles. Everyone claps and enjoys the moment. We get out some plates and you start to cut it up, and as you put it on the plates and hand it around, you realise that it's actually just icing and decoration, and there is no cake. How would you feel? You might think, well, that's a bit weird. You would probably think, hey, you can't fool me. You didn't really go to the effort to make me a birthday cake. You only pretended. And with that realisation, you would probably feel pretty ripped off and let down, wouldn't you? That's what I call the great birthday cake fail. And I see a lot of businesses do this when they're trying to implement wellbeing into their workplace. Let me explain the analogy a little further. Sometimes when people make a start on workplace wellbeing, they're all enthusiastic and they start implementing all sorts of activities, and that's great. They implement resilience workshops, massage, yoga, free counselling, etc. Employees go off to their resilience sessions and their yoga classes, but things don't seem to change. So the employer adds gym sessions and fruit in the kitchen and wellness days and morning teas and so on. And still nothing changes in the workplace. They get disappointed and they think that this wellbeing stuff is a load of rubbish. The reason they don't get the results they wanted is because, like in my little story, they don't have any cake. You see, employees can attend resilience sessions and eat the fruit in the kitchen and so on, but if they get back to their desk and they're still overloaded with work and they don't know what they're doing and they're treated like they're invisible, no amount of fruit and yoga mats is going to make up for it. A genuine wellbeing workplace needs the wellbeing fundamentals, and this is what I mean by the cake. A wellbeing culture will have trust, acceptance, good communication, constructive conflict, reasonable workloads, good resources and processes, a sense of belonging, good leadership, a sense of worthwhile purpose, team connection, and recognition. Ideally, a whole cake, especially designed for your business, would be fabulous. All the elements in the cake to create a solid wellbeing culture and icing on the top to provide services and interventions and send a strong message to your employees that you care. At this point, your head is probably spinning. You might be thinking that in your business environment, this might not be entirely possible or appropriate, that you don't have the time or the resources to commit to this. You might be thinking, I really need to do some solid cake, but how on earth am I going to do that? You might also be wondering if you need any icing at all, and is all of that just fluff and bubble? These are all really good questions. What I want to say is this. Firstly, no matter how large or small your business, the same principles apply. And yes, making a start on a solid cake's important, and it'll take some effort, and it won't happen overnight. But trust me, it's very achievable, and I've got some tips to support you on that. In relation to the icing question, I think keeping some icing's worth it. The great advantage of having some of the activities depicted is that they bring people together, they educate and they provide support. The trick is to choose activities that really resonate with your particular employees. So, how can you make a start? I've got 3 key tips for you that will help you cut through and make a real start that will help your business in the ways that you need. The first is invest in leadership. This is where you'll really get traction in the fundamentals in your cake. Invest in educating leaders as to why wellbeing's important, how it works. Give them the skills and the confidence to create a well culture. Connect with their people and role model the right kind of behaviours. Starting here really pays off. I've seen organisations where leaders didn't get involved, and it sends a silent message that well-being's just kind of a tick box kind of thing. It has to be presented that leaders really care about well-being of employees, so get involved and lead the agenda. Secondly, focus on keeping your well people well. Take proactive action to look after your employees. Ask yourself, what can I do to proactively increase support and decrease stress? And ask your employees, what do you need? Look around and see how your business rates against some of the items in the birthday cake, and invest in making sure you're getting it right before there's a problem. Don't take a cookie cutter approach and don't fall for the latest trend. Do proactive things that add value, appeal to your team and suit your culture. A mistake I see organisations make is they take a problem-fixing attitude to wellbeing. They don't do anything until there's a crisis or a problem. So don't wait for burnout or breakdown. Be proactive and focus on keeping your well people well. Thirdly, do the right things, not just the fun and easy things. For example, address destructive conflict by facilitating frank conversations to solve problems. Don't just take everyone out for dinner and hope it blows over. Invest in good systems and take the time to have everyone trained. We need to drop the sink or swim attitude. Make sure you have good job design and everyone has reasonable workloads. Don't buy into the idea that life and work have to always be frantic. It's not sustainable or productive and nobody likes it. Actively build a supportive culture and caring relationships in your workplace. Don't stick your head in the sand and believe that people can just leave their problems at the door and that everyone should just toughen up. Compassion's important and you can't outsource compassion. So get everyone trained in how to have a supportive conversation. You don't need to be a professional counsellor to be a supportive colleague or a supportive manager. It can be learnt and it can be a game changer in the workplace. These are just some examples. Take time to identify and address the simmering problems that might be going on in your workplace and be brave enough to do it right. Don't be the business that falls into the trap of the birthday cake fail. Get out there and start making an honest cake that suits your workplace and builds the culture that you want. Thank you for tuning in today.